I'm here, so welcome to Northbridge, joining me for Rising Tides Chapter 5, Making Waves. I can't believe it. Monteverde is interested in my initiative. That's awesome. They must have really been impressed. I mean, I emailed them, but I didn't think they'd actually respond. Let alone this. From what happened when I tried to talk to them before, I figured they'd brush me off again. But you had a different approach this time. You were more organized, and you have a clear idea of what you're asking for. That's the best news we've gotten all week. You should be proud of yourself, kiddo. Are you kidding? I'm freaking out. Now I have to present my proposal to, like, one of the biggest companies in the country. Ah! Charlie, you've got this. Clearly they see something promising in what you're doing. They wouldn't have responded otherwise. You're passionate, smart, driven, and I know you're going to bring that energy to this meeting. Charlie takes a few breaths and closes her eyes, putting her hands flat on the table. Okay, I can do this. I'm going to come to the meeting prepared. I'm going to wear a dark shirt so they can't see how much I'm sweating. That's the spirit. Harriet, I know this has been my passion project, but would you come with me? You're so good at talking to people. You know it, kiddo. Consider me your hype woman. Well, if you need me, I'm going to be practicing my presentation to an audience of my old stuffed animals for the rest of the day. Hey, what about helping me chop those vegetables? Sorry, Mom, duty calls. Permission to skip? Oh, denied. If I've been able to cook on top of working for all these years, you could find the time to slice a few carrots. Why don't you practice your presentation on me while you work? I need a break from budgeting anyway. Charlie sighs and rolls her eyes, but your smile as she starts chopping and lays out her plan to your mom. You know she's gonna do just fine. The day of the presentation arrives, you and Charlie catch a bus to Monteverde's HQ, just outside of Cedarport. You're shown to a large boardroom. Various city officials and community leaders are seated around the table, including Mayor Lau, Sheriff Smith, Superintendent Jones, and to your disappointment, Principal Strickler. Warner rises as you walk in. Charlie, Harriet, the girls of the hour are here. Thank you so much for putting this meeting together, Mr. Rafferty. I should be the one thanking you two for being engaged and looking for ways to help Cedarport. Shall we jump right in? Charlie clears her throat and smooths the front of her overalls. You give her an encouraging smile. Many of us have been thinking more about our relationship with the Earth ever since the fish die-off. I spent the last week speaking to members of Cedarport's community about the views on sustainability and how it affects our lives. A significant number of us would like to see Cedarport enact more eco-friendly policies that would benefit our town and our planet. I'm proposing an initiative that addresses these concerns. I'm here to get your input, questions, and hopefully your support. With our due respect, but I'm not sure a teenager is qualified to propose such big undertakings. I don't think Charlie's age should have any bearing on her qualifications. If anything, she's bringing a new perspective to the issue. And I'm happy to see our students engaging with local public policy. I think that should be encouraging. It just seems rather off the cuff, shall we say. There's a reason we elect politicians instead of letting citizens handle issues like this. Because that's been how it's always been since, like, the dawn of man. The proposal is beneficial to the town. We've looked at Cedarport's budget and done some rough projections. These measures could actually cut costs and save money in the long run. Mr. Strickland, really remind you that we are all invited here as local leaders to offer our input. Let's at least hear them out. Besides, it's perfectly within the scope of the law for citizens to propose initiatives, regardless of their age. And having read over the proposal, I think there are some very promising suggestions. It's clear that Charlie has worked very hard. Thank you, Mayor Leo. I may not be a public official, but I still care about making Cedarport the best it can be. Maybe we can get into discussing some of the specific ideas put forth in the proposal. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Frank Abera, the town's Park and Recreations Director, speaks first. I'm all for putting more resources into restoring natural habitats. Even before the fish, we've had difficulty maintaining our wildlife. I agree. Parks and Rec has had to operate on a very small budget, but perhaps it's time to put more resources into preserving nature. Nor doing, Cedarport's Public Works Director clears her throat and flips through the papers in front of her. Speaking of resources, your green transportation plan is very ambitious, but I'm not sure how feasible it is in terms of funding. Expanding bus routes is one thing, but zero-emission buses plus bike lanes? This would take years of road work. I understand your concerns, but having fewer cars on the road will reduce wear and tear on the road, meaning less road work in the future. I support bike lanes. They would also help protect bicyclists. We've had a lot of bike accidents this year. I also had financing concerns about the green energy proposal you laid out. We'd have to retrofit the town's entire inner power grid. True, but looking at the data, these changes could cut our energy costs by millions of dollars. I think it's worth considering. If I may interrupt, I'm concerned about the proposed business regulations for clean energy. I worry they're too extreme. I also object to the notion of government dictating business practices. It's called the free market for a reason. It's not dictating business practice. It's about incentivizing businesses to look into alternative power sources. Yes, but I'm worried that this would especially hurt small business who don't have the resources to make a quick shift to green power. What about a tiered regulatory system? Smaller businesses could be given loans to help them shoulder the cost of changing over. That's a bit unfair, though, isn't it? Imagine you're a mid-sized business owner struggling to make the switch. A smaller company gets a hefty loan. I'd be upset. What does fair have to do with it? We should all be working towards a common goal of trying to help the environment. If the common goal comes at the cost of giving our citizens an equal economic playing field, then I don't think it's a good goal worth having. So you're saying you care more about money than saving the planet. Good to know. Charlie's voice becomes more shrill, and you can tell she's losing her cool. The city leaders exchange uncertain glances, and you put a hand on her arm. We did come to hear your honest opinions. This proposal would affect all of us, so it's important that we consider all arguments. I appreciate your understanding, Harriet. I'm sorry, Charlie, I know you've put a lot of effort into this proposal, but I can't just support it in good faith. Oh, well, I appreciate you taking the time to listen anyway. The meeting concludes, and you and Charlie catch the bus back into town. Charlie is quiet on the ride back. As you walk back home, you give her a nudge. Hey, why so glum? I thought the meeting went really well today. Were you at the same meeting as I was? I got totally shot down. That's not true. Frank, Mayor Lau, and Superintendent Jones, and Sheriff Smith all seem to like it. Nor might come around with the right convincing. And I mean, it's not like we expected to win Strickler over anyway. Yeah, I guess I'm just bummed out about Warner. When he reached out, I got so excited. His support would be huge for this campaign. I have emotional whiplash from him inviting me to meet just to reject my idea. Well, he's a businessman, not a conservationist. He's got different priorities. It makes sense that he'd be thinking about the things that from that angle. So don't beat yourself up. This doesn't mean the end of the proposal. You still have some time to campaign to other people. If anything, this meeting was useful because now you have an idea of what kinds of arguments you'll need to counter. Yeah, you're right. I think I just need to step back from this and chill out for a bit. Damn straight you do. You've been completely consumed with this for, as long as I've been home. Why don't we... Hold on. Do you hear that? Pause and hear a high-pitched squeaking noise coming from the harbor. You and Charlie make your way down to the water's edge to find... Harriet, it's a baby harbor seal! Poor thing. She's got her tail caught in a net. I'll call Wildlife Rescue Services. She dials the number and reports it as the incident as you watch the seal helplessly flounder into the bay. Before too long, a wildlife services van pulls up and a woman in waters jump out. Her name tags as Jenny. Okay, where's our seal? She's down there in the harbor. I wasn't sure if we should try and get her out ourselves. No, you did the right thing. It's dangerous to interact with wildlife if you don't know what you're doing. It's true. She wades into the water and carefully approaches the seal, trying to undo the knot around her tail. Calm down, baby. I'm just trying to help. Jenny scoops the seal in her arms, but also gets knocked down by a wave. She barely manages to keep hold on the seal. Is everything okay? We're just a little short on staff, is all. This should probably be a two-person job, but we're working with what we have. Join Jenny to get some extra support for your initiative. Learn about the marine conservation, and help the baby seal. Look at him. Look how happy the little seal is. Sadness. Happiness. Let's go. Actually, you can. If you open the van, there should be a bassinet for the seal and some towels. And I'm gonna need a hand getting out of here. At the Wildlife Center, Jenny treats the seal pup while you and Charlie look on. The net has been safely removed, and the seal looks happy. It's good that you called when you did. The poor thing was at the brink of exhaustion. I don't think she would have lasted much longer on her own. Is she gonna be okay? She'll be just fine. She just needs a bit of rest. Then we can release her and monitor her status. There's a seal colony a little further south. I bet she got separated from them, so we'll see if her mom is there. How does that sound, little girl? Are you excited to go home soon? We do need a name for her. For our records, do you girls have any ideas? Bloop. Oh, I love it. What do you think, Bloop? She rolls on her stomach and shimmies towards you, sniffing. Oh my god, she's too cute. Can I pet her? Sorry, Harriet. It's dangerous for wildlife to get too comfortable around humans, so we have a limit to contact as much as possible. Is that because of poachers? Yes, actually. Partially. Poaching seals for their fur has definitely become a problem in the past, but they face a lot of other problems today. Like this girl, seals and other marine creatures often get caught in nets from fishing vessels. It can injure and even kill them. Pollution has also had a devastating effect on wildlife. There's so much plastic in the water, it's causing birth defects and mutations. And for fishing has caused drastic changes in delicate marine ecosystems. Predators don't have enough to eat, so they have to go elsewhere. Our family owns a fishing business. I hope we haven't unknowingly hurt any seals. For what it's worth, it's more of a problem with commercial fishing than small businesses. They fish at an unsustainable rate and are often careless. But the sad reality is that a lot of marine wildlife is under threat, and climate change is only exacerbating their vulnerabilities. Jenny, I'm leading a ballot proposal that will address environmental issues in Cedarport. I think your support would be really helpful. You are? That's fantastic. I'd be happy to help. It's hard to say no to green reform when you're looking in the big dewy eyes of a baby seal. Bloop waddles across the table to nudge Jenny's arm. She laughs and grabs a bottle full of milk from the counter. And speaking of big dewy seal eyes, I think someone's hungry. Since you're not able to pet her, would you like to help me feed her? Yes. Charlie, go for it. Jenny hands Charlie the bottle and she aims it towards Bloop's mouth. She wiggles away, flopping around gleefully. Hey, get back here, you little stinker. She's not used to bottle feeding. Why don't you try... Charlie squeezes the bottle and a stream of milk squirts Bloop right in the face. She squeals with delight, latches onto the bottle, sucking happily. Oops, that wasn't intentional, but hey, it worked. Finally, Bloop finishes drinking and flops down on the table. Satiated, Jenny puts the bottle away. Now that's one happy little ball of fluff. I hope she's okay back out in the ocean. It sounds like she's up against a lot of dangers. I hope so too, but there are lots of things that people can do to help. Reducing waste, saving energy, cutting down on plastic. You could give up seafood or look for sustainable options and avoid products that are made from marine life like coral or tortoiseshell. Watch out for cleaners and fertilizers with high chemical content. It all goes back to the sea. Natural products are best. And there's always volunteering. Our center could use some extra hands. Count me in. Where's your sign-up sheet? When can I start? Charlie, this is perfect for you. I can't think of a more perfect volunteer opportunity for you. No more baby seals are getting stranded on my watch. Oh, Charlie, that'd be great if you could come back and help sometime. I can give you the volunteer form on the way out. We should let Bloop rest for now, but do you want to say goodbye? Bye, Bloop. Good luck out there. Never forget that you're the cutest thing in the world, and I would die for you. Who knows? Maybe I'll run into her again sometime if you're down by the water. Jenny puts the seal into a safe enclosure and gives Charlie the volunteer form, and the two of you return home. That weekend, you and Eddie hang out downtown, eating sandwiches by the waterfront. It almost feels like no time has passed since your high school days. Oh my god, I miss this. Why did I let myself go so long without eating at Angelica's? No one makes them like her, although I'm surprised for you went for the veggie sandwich. You were always a roast beef gal. I know, but I'm trying to eat more sustainably lately. Do you have any idea how much carbon dioxide beef production generates? Oh, here we go with this. Wow, you're starting to sound like Charlie. How's that campaign of hers going, by the way? It's going okay. She was pretty disappointed when Monteverde didn't back her initiative, though. Yeah, I can imagine. But it sounds like she was making some pretty high demands on businesses, so I can't say I'm surprised. I was kind of hoping Warner would have some advice for finding a middle ground, but he seemed pretty firmly opposed. Well, that kind of regulation is a slippery slope. Businesses need flexibility to thrive, and putting restrictions on them makes them hard. Yeah, but isn't the threat of climate change more important than business? I'm not denying that climate change is important. I just think that this is a complex issue. It isn't as simple as regulating everything. Businesses are made up of people who need jobs to get by. Messing with the system could cost them their livelihoods. If a company's whole structure could be uprooted by switching to green energy, then maybe it wasn't very stable to begin with. I trust Warner on this. He's been involved in the business longer than either of us have. There's a reason he's so successful. But business isn't always about the greater good. I'm not going to deny that Warner is a skilled businessman, but that doesn't mean he has the Earth's best interests at heart. Does that make him a bad person? You're acting like the entire Earth is his responsibility alone. Sure, no one person can fix this alone, but that's exactly why we need everyone to pitch in to make a difference, including him. Eddie lets out a frustrated sigh and holds up his hands. Harriet, let's not argue. You and Charlie are practically my sisters, and I want nothing but the best for both of you. But you have to see how this proposal puts me in a weird spot. I care about you, but I care about this job, too. I think Monteverde has shown a lot of concern for Cedarport already. They gave an inch, and you're asking for a mile. But we need a mile. Do you know why Charlie's been so focused on this? It's because she's terrified of what the future is going to look like if we don't act now. We need all the support we can get. If you do anything to help, I really hope you'll keep us in mind. I'll think on it, but I can't promise anything. I'm still new at Monteverde, and I don't have much sway. Okay. Understand. Thanks, Harriet. I appreciate it. Your conversation with Eddie casts a shadow of disappointment over you for the rest of the afternoon. Instead of going straight home, you find yourself wandering aimlessly around town. I know he cares about his career, but why does it feel like he's so reluctant to support this initiative? Was I being too aggressive? Maybe Charlie's frustration is rubbing off on me, but I didn't think I'd have to argue with my best friend about this. Your thoughts are interrupted as you approach an empty lot across from the town's auto shop. The head mechanic, Javier, is surveying the area. He waves when he sees you. Hey, Harriet. I didn't realize you were back in town. Yep, been home for a couple weeks now. How are things with you? So. A lot of businesses get sucked up by bigger shops in Northbridge these days. It's used to be full of cars, but now... He sweeps his arms, gesturing at the empty space. It's not serving any purpose, other than looking ugly. I wonder if it'd make more sense to rent it out to some... He suddenly stops, staring down the street. He follows gaze to... Hi, Javier. It's nice to see you. Nice day, isn't it? Hi, Mel. Me too. I mean, it's, good to see you, too. And it is nice, the day. Say, my vegetables have been growing like crazy this summer, and I have too many to eat. I can give you some if you'd like, that is. I would, very much. That's, so kind of you. Hey, sometime, would you like to... Yes. Would you like to bring your car in for a tune-up to make sure everything is shipshape? Oh, yes. I suppose I'm overdue. Maybe next week. See you later. She continues down the street, and Javier grimaces and runs a hand through his hair. What am I doing? She probably thinks I'm a loser. Can't even keep business or maintain his property. Oh, don't be so hard on yourself, Javier. I doubt she thinks that at all. She was hoping you would ask her out. Are you kidding me? Look at this place. Old tires, garbage piles. Don't exactly inspire romance. Don't you... Have you ever considered doing something else with this lot? Maybe you could turn it into a garden. Mel does like gardens. But I'm not sure if I can pull it off. I've killed every plant I've ever kept. What if it was a community garden? You could rent out plots for a small fee. Everyone else would do the actual gardening. It'd be a great way to get the community involved in sustainability and growing their own food. Plus, I'm sure Mel would think it was pretty dreamy. Oh, now that's an idea, and it could actually work. Although I'm not totally sure where to start. Help Javier convert his lot to impress Mel and clean up the town. Maybe I can help. I'm no extrovert, but two heads are better than one, right? Well, I'm gonna need all the help I can get. I just don't see how anything can grow in this mess. The two of you survey the trash-strewn lot, and you tap your chin thoughtfully. All you need to do is clean up some of the trash and overgrowth. Then you could add planters to grow things. It'd be prettier, and you'd have a side hustle, and you'd give people a source of fresh, locally grown produce. Plus it could impress Mel. You know how she loves gardening. I think she'd be so happy if she saw that you were taking an interest too. And you'd have a great excuse to go ask her for advice. You think so? Maybe it'd make it easier to talk to her so I'm not always putting my foot in my mouth. And you know what? I think you might have a point. Maybe it wouldn't be actually hard to set things up. There are some crates in the shop that I can use for planters. Oh, there's some old boards and glass panes that could be used to build a greenhouse. That's awesome. Now you're thinking. But the hard part's convincing people to get involved. I feel like no one's going to be interested when it's all barren. And what about equipment should I have on hand? Is it bring your own tools? Should I get some soil to start people out with? What kind is best? Javier, I think I have an idea. You get started on the other stuff and I'll be back. You enter Mel's hardware store and make your way to the counter. Sorry, Harriet, I'm about to close. I need to get home to check on my tomato plants. Okay, but before you go, I wanted to tell you that Javier is turning the empty lot behind his shop into a community garden. He is? Wow, that's... Well, let me say I'm like a man with a green thumb, if you catch my drift. No, I actually don't. But I never took him for the gardening type. That's the thing, he's not. I think he could use a little help getting started. You're Cedarport's gardening expert. Do you have any tips or advice you could give him to get it going? What? But I don't share my gardening secrets with anyone. You don't have to tell him everything. Just some basics, please. I don't know. I've guarded my craft for such a long time. This isn't a decision that I take lightly. Oh, shut the hell up. What do you... Oh, Jesus. But just think. It's a good excuse to spend time with Javier. It's clear that you two like each other. When you talked earlier, the romantic tension was so thick I could cut it with a bushwhacker. Really? Think so? I'm never quite sure with him. He's hard to read. Trust me, wouldn't it be romantic to grow something together? You know what? I'm in. Now load up a wheelbarrow and help me carry some supplies over. You return to Javier's lot, sweating and sore from pushing a wheelbarrow loaded with soil bags and gardening tools. Javier looks up, building the beginnings of a greenhouse. Whoa, what's all this? Mel, I didn't realize you. I'm glad you're here, but what is... Javier, when Harriet told me you were planning to set up a community garden here, I was absolutely thrilled. I'd like to donate some supplies from my store, offer some plants from my own garden to get you started. Mel, I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything and grab a trowel. We've got seedlings to transplant, grass patches to lay, and vegetables to grow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Suddenly you've got massive melons. Or pumpkins. We'll go with that. Listen, I just had to go on. After an afternoon of labor, the garden is finished. Javier wipes the sweat from his brown beams. We did it. This is the most beautiful thing I could have imagined. I'll be sure to spread the word around town. I'm sure people will be lining up for a plot in no time. Thanks again, Harriet. None of this would happen if you hadn't come by or come up with the idea. Hey, you were the ones who did most of the hard work. I mean, Javier, you built all this stuff, and Mel did so much planning. Javier, we make a pretty good team, don't we? And maybe sometime... Mel, do you want to have dinner with me? I thought you'd never ask, and I would love to. How'd you like to cook a meal together? Maybe using some produce from this very garden. She strokes a nearby squash, sensually, not breaking eye contact. I'm really surprised she didn't pet an eggplant. God damn it. Get a room. Harriet, this is my property, and I'll make lovey-dovey eyes with whoever I see fit. In that case, I think I should be heading home. Bye, you two lovebirds. You helped Javier and Mel. Yeah. It's dark by the time you get home. You knock on Charlie's door and poke your head in. And guess who just helped Javier turn a lot behind his shop into a community garden? Seriously? That's awesome. Maybe he and Mel will finally get together. Oh boy, do I have some news for you. How are you doing, though? Pissed off, actually. I've been researching environmental laws related to business regulations to address Warner's criticism, but I keep finding stories that make me madder and madder. For example, there's a town in Texas where residents and activists sued a huge plastic plant for illegally dumping waste in the bay after years of pollution. The company settled the suit for $50 million and promised to halt production, but residents are already finding plastic in the bay again. That's terrible. What's the point of the lawsuit if it doesn't change anything? There are eco-activists who are facing legal retribution for things as small as protesting on company property. Some activists in Louisiana were given felony charges for leaving plastic waste on an oil lobbyist porch. Look it up. I can't believe they can get away with that. Thank goodness Cedarport isn't like that yet. But what I'm worried about, Monteverde seemed concerned with how my initiative would affect businesses. Right now my proposal is in its early stages, but what if it gains traction and Monteverde sees it as a threat? What if they come after me like that? Well, let's not jump to conclusions. Just because Warner didn't like part of your proposal doesn't mean he's going to try and sue you into oblivion or something. Yet, who knows how Monteverde will act under pressure? If you're really concerned, maybe you should just drop the part about businesses from your initiative. That would defeat the whole point. Every individual in Cedarport could go green. But it won't matter if our bay is full of chemicals. That's what I need everyone to understand. We all have to be in this together. Businesses, governments, citizens, otherwise we fail. Suddenly Charlie's computer dings. She turns back to the screen and checks the notification, her face brightening. Hey, Robin's article about my walkout just published on the Cedarport Post. I set up a notification. You lean over her shoulder, reading. The students of Cedarport High are tired of being ignored. They're tired of having their concerns pushed aside. And they're tired of feeling like they don't have a say in how we treat the world that they're going to inherit. So they've gathered at City Hall last Wednesday, demanding that the leaders address the impact on climate change. Let's see. He talks about the die-off, mentions the beach cleanup, and how the town's response. Hey, he quoted me. I don't think our older generations realize that when we talk about climate change, we're talking about our futures, said the student Charlie Thompson. Thompson has been vocal at previous town meetings, calling for more research into potential climate-based causes of the die-off. The students of Cedarport High are determined to make a meaningful impact on the environment. Perhaps it's time to heed their words. And look, people are already starting to post comments. So far, most of it's supportive. I wouldn't have guessed based on how people responded to our walkout in person. I guess the right media coverage can really shift people's perspectives. It's funny how the way you frame something can... Charlie looks at you quizzically as you trail on, a grin slowly spreading across your face. I have an idea. Oh boy. A phone call later, you arrive at the bed and breakfast where Robin is staying. He ushers you inside with a warm smile. A phone call later, you arrive at the bed and breakfast where Robin is staying. He ushers you inside with a warm smile. Thanks again for agreeing to meet with me tonight. I know it's getting late. It's no trouble. Not like I mind having an excuse to see you. Oh, I can come up with more excuses. I like where this is going. You want to elaborate on some of those excuses? He steps a little closer, his dark eyes reflecting your own eager gaze. I just might, but before we get into that, I am here for a reason other than seeing your lovely face. So, what's the deal with the initiative of Charlie, as you mentioned on the phone? She was hoping Monteverde would show some support, but they seemed pretty opposed to some of her ideas regarding business regulation. Why am I not surprised? Big corporations like Monteverde aren't going to accept changes like that if they don't have to. That's why I need your help. Charlie read a bunch of articles about how corporate negligence has led to environmental harm. Maybe you could write an article talking about why it's important that businesses do their part, and what can happen if they don't. You don't have to ask me twice. I'll happily take shots at a mega corporation like Monteverde. To be clear, I don't want to drag them through the mud or anything like that. I'm still hoping they'll come around supporting Charlie. They just need a little social pressure. It's not like we're accusing them of anything, but if there was an implication that they could be doing more to help... Got it. Hold them to a higher standard that they'll have to meet if they want to maintain a good PR. It'll be tight, but I should be able to get this circulating in a week or two, and with any luck, Monteverde will be singing your tune soon. Let's touch bases next week, and I can give you an update. Maybe we can meet up at in Angelica's Cafe. It seemed to be my a favorite spot in this town. That sounds perfect. Robin, I don't know how to thank you. This means the world to me. Hey, it's my job. And if it makes your life a little easier along the way, then all the better. It sounds like you've had a lot going on lately. You hanging in there? Charlie's been doing most of the heavy lifting, but I'm trying to support her as much as I can. I love how close you two are. Don't forget to take a little time for yourself, though. Yeah, well, things are kind of grim in Cedarport these days. In case you didn't notice, there are a lot of opportunities to get away from it all. Let me give you one. How would you like to have a night out with me up in Northbridge? Let me show you around for a change. I know all the cool underground spots. I can think of some good places to blow off some steam. Join Robin in Northbridge to get some insight into his past, tips on activism, and an opportunity to spend a special moment together. Sure. Well, then let's not waste any time. I can get us up there in 40 minutes if we disregard a few speed limits. You follow Robin to his car and buckle in for a wild ride. From the passenger seat of the car, you watch Northbridge rush by as Robin deftly navigates the city streets. This is so cool. I never get a chance to visit big cities like this. Even my college was kind of a mid-sized town. To be honest, there used to be a lot more life here in the city when I was younger. More art, local culture, that kind of thing. But people started moving up here, and prices went up. A lot of locals couldn't afford rent anymore. It hasn't really been the same since. My family's old apartment is nearby. I don't know how me, my mom, and 4 older brothers all managed to fit in there, but hey, we survived. So you're the baby of the family. I always wondered what having older siblings would be like. It turned out alright for me, I guess. If nothing else, I got a passing knowledge of sports and can roughhouse with the best of them. Is that so? Because you strike me as the artsy kind of kid in the family. Oh, I definitely was the sensitive, odd one out, especially when I was younger. My brothers were tossing footballs and I was sketching. But even if I was a little different, I still felt like I belonged, and I think my brothers toughened me up in ways I really needed. They actually helped me lead some protests against gentrification in my area, managed to fight off for some of the affordable housing measures. I think I'm sensing where you get your determination from, without a doubt. I mean, I think I kind of had a rebellious streak to begin with, but they helped me hone in on in an effective way. Kind of like you and Charlie, from what it sounds like. So, tell me about your rebellious streak. I did well in school, but I had a bad habit of picking fights with bullies. Needless to say, I spent a lot of time in the principal's office. I don't look for trouble, but it is a way of finding me. Generally, I don't get along very well with authority figures. I also rode a motorcycle for a hot second, just to put on an unsubtle cherry on top of this portrait of my wild sign. Of course you did. Robin pulls over to the curb and turns off the ignition. Street parking on a Friday night? Aren't we lucky? Come on, this is the place. I know it doesn't seem like much, but this is one of the last places in the city that still has the original owners. It goes back to the 60s. It's actually a watering hole for a lot of activists with my brothers were involved with. They had meetings here and stuff. The patrons have a cool, laid-back air, and many have tattoos, piercings, and hip alternative clothes. You hope you don't look out of place, as if reading your thoughts, Robin nudges you. Relax, everybody's welcome here. Your face is saying, deer in the headlights. It's just, I'm not used to this kind of scene. I don't want to seem like a small-town hack. You don't, and you won't. But let's show everyone that the Cedarport native knows how to get down with the best of them. He takes your hand, pulling you towards a cleared-out space in the back of the room, and begins leading you in a dance. What are you doing? Getting you out of your comfort zone. I did tell you the dancing is relaxing, and if I recall, it worked last time. True, but we were alone, not in front of a bar full of people. Oh, when I got into trouble, or when I was angry in the world, this was my place to get away from it all. Also, all sorts of people come here, and no one cares about your grades, your money, or your status. Everyone's equal on the dance floor. When you're dancing, you have to work together with your partner. The world would be a better place if we brought that attitude everywhere. As he speaks, he spins you so effortlessly that you think you almost planned it yourself. Yeah, maybe we can dance our way to world peace. I'm willing to give it a shot. Okay, Maxwell. You wrap your arms around his neck, pressing your body to his. He slides his hand to your lower back, gazing into your eyes. I was about to suggest a slow dance. I guess we have similar tastes. I think we might have to explore each other's tastes more. Your bodies sway in time, so close you can feel the warmth radiating from his chest. Slowly, your faces move closer and closer until his breath is caressing your lips. And then he quickly pulls you down into a graceful dip. You can't help but laugh with surprise and glee. You dance a while longer and find yourself relaxing and loosening up. Other people take to the dance floor, and you feel more and more at home. Okay, this is pretty fun. This makes me wish there were more places to dance in Cedarport. Who knows, maybe you'll find yourself living in Northbridge someday. I, for one, wouldn't mind. His eyes glimmer mischievously, and he takes your hand, once again, guiding you to a door at the back of the room. There's one more thing I want to show you. Technically, we're not supposed to go back here, but the bouncers let it slide. Hey, what do you think you're doing? That door's for staff only. Well, most of them. The bouncer approaches you, and arms crossed. Before Robin can reply, you surprise yourself by speaking up. We're on our honeymoon. We met at this very bar and wanted to celebrate my coming by for a magical night. Can't you make an exception? You lean into Robin's shoulder and cast him a lovely glance. He plays along easily, wrapping an arm around your waist. Well, alright, but only because I have a soft spot for romantic backstories. Damn it, I play too many visual novel games. Yeah, okay. The bouncer steps away, and you follow Robin through the door, up a stairwell, and he turns and cocks an eyebrow. Not bad. For someone who was worried that they'd look out of place, you're handling yourself pretty confidently. Maybe hanging out with you is starting to rub off on me. The stairs lead you to the roof, where a small bench is wedged into a corner. All around you, the lights of the city sparkle. Oh, Robin, this is beautiful. Isn't? This was my hideout for the nights when we were dancing. Wouldn't do the trick, and I needed some peace and quiet. I love people, reporting, dancing, activism, having a big family, but I need time to recharge alone, too, you know? He gazes out wistfully at the skyline, lost in thought, before turning his attention back to you. I hope I haven't taken up too much of your social energy tonight. Not at all. I think you might have given me social energy. Not many people do that. That's why I wanted to bring you out here tonight. I almost lost the Northbridge I love, but people fought hard to keep a piece of it alive. And I think you have the passion to do the same thing in Cedarport. A woman as special as you cannot make a difference in this world. You hold your gaze as you realize how close you're standing and to one another at the roof's edge. Your heart beats a little faster. Robin, kiss me. Believe me, that's all I've wanted to do all night. He brings his mouth to yours, gently at first, as though softly exploring the contours of your lips. You wind your fingers through his hair. Then the kiss deepens, and he presses closer, pinning you to the wall of the roof with his hips, one hand on the back of your neck, the other caressing the curve of your waist. You let out a soft moan as he works his way down your neck, nipping playfully at your earlobe. Finally, you put a finger under his chin and raise his face to meet your gaze. If this is getting out of my comfort zone, then I need to open up more often. Oh, we can absolutely work on that opening you up. But I've kept you out late enough, haven't I? I should get you home before my car turns into a pumpkin, and we're stuck here. I could live with being stranded with you a little longer, but yeah, we should probably head back. Just promise we'll do this again sometime? Cross my heart. Something tells me this won't be the last adventure we have together. You take one last look at the city before making your way back to the car or the long drive home. A week later, you meet Robin at Angelica's cafe. He strolls in confidently and tosses a newspaper in front of you. Good news. I talked to some contacts at Northbridge Daily, and they agreed to run my story on Monteverde. Read it and weep. Whoa, seriously? That's great. I wasn't expecting a big-name paper like the Daily. You scan the paper as Robin sits down across from you. Beaming proudly, the article quickly but thoroughly summarizes recent events in Cedarport and draws parallels to similar incidents before turning to Monteverde. Given their power, one has to wonder why Monteverde hasn't taken greater steps to help Cedarport. Are they just capitalizing on good publicity, or is something darker happening beneath the surface? They could save Cedarport from ecological disaster, or they could stand by while the town teeters closer to the brink of destruction. So, what do you think? I did my best to rein in my violent distaste for large corporations and keep things, civil. Before you can answer, your attention is caught when the bell over the door chimes and none other than Cassidy steps in. To your surprise, after scanning the room for a moment, he approaches your table. From the expression on his face, you sense that he's not here for pleasure. Robin, Tora, correct? The journalist? Robin looks at you confused while Cassidy's gaze is fixed on Robin. You sense that he's intentionally not looking at you. He hands Robin an envelope. Barney Verde is issuing a cease and desist. due to libelous claims in your recent article. If you continue, legal action will be taken. Wait a minute, who the hell are you to tell me what I can and can't write? Cassidy finally steals a glance your way before turning his attention back to Robin. A Monteverde's lawyer. Nice. And here we thought he was the good guy that's, you know, on the side of all that garbage he was spewing. Nice. No wonder he couldn't keep a straight eye contact by the end. Without further ado, thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down the description below, links to social media, Discord if you'd like to support me and my content. Please make sure that if you did actually enjoy this video, to like the video. Let me know in the comment section below how you felt about the video, and make sure to share the video and or the channel. And also make sure to be subscribed so you don't miss out on more content. Also, there's a couple other really important videos on the channel right now, if you could please consider checking those out. And there is one upcoming one that is about choices in the future of this channel. Thanks again for watching. Peace out.